Hello, good evening once again, and you are all welcome back to Joy Learning. My name is Opoku, and like I always say, today we are going to have one again interesting topic for discussion today. But before I do that, it is exactly a week today since you wrote the BEC. How was the science generally? I would want to have your comment and your feedback and then actually see it, because I believe that in as much as it's just a week, don't worry, it will go well. Okay. Today we are talking about disease of humans, and then we'll talk about the viral disease, the bacterial, the fungi, and then the protozoa. So let's go straight to our objectives and then go into what we intend learning today. By the end of the lesson, the people will be able to explain the concept diseases. 2, state 5 ways in which disease can enter into the body of an organism. An organism here is the human body. 3, state 6 general causes and prevention of diseases. 4 is what or explain what a vector is. Discuss the groups of microorganisms and the disease they cause. The 6th one is identify the methods of transmitting diseases. And the last but not the least is state 6 effects of food and water-borne diseases. Good. Now, every living organism goes through life. And as you eat, as you grow, most appropriately or definitely, you will be infected with different kinds of diseases. And I believe that it is part of the whole earth process of growth. So in as much as you are moving here and there, you are interacting with your environment, your neighbor around, your pets and all other things, most appropriately, you will come into contact with certain microorganisms that will actually get into your system or your body and then cause certain changes into the body. So we'll go deeper into that, and then we'll actually believe or actually appreciate why we human beings go through certain lifestyles or certain changes in our bodies to actually get diseases and all that. All right. So disease occurs to every living creature on earth. This happens when there is alterations in the normal functioning of a body of that organism. So whenever your whole system changes, or whenever there's any sharp change of any kind in your system, then it is believed that there's been certain microorganisms being introduced into your system that may have warranted or caused that kind of mishap in the whole body. Disease can get into an organism through various ways, and then some of these ways are through the water you drink. Absolutely. As you drink water, most appropriately, what happens is that if the water is contaminated, then definitely you have, or there will be a bit of alterations in your body system or the normal functioning of your body. And also the food that you eat or the food that you take. Now the water and the food, whenever they become what is called contaminated or polluted, then it's believed that definitely certain microorganisms will be introduced into your system, and that will result in you getting malaria and then the rest. And then you also have unprotected sex. You have air, and then you also have body contact. So these are the 5 major or basic ways by which every organism, and the particular organism here is human, can actually acquire or get disease into the system. So we have water, we have food, we have unprotected sex, we have air, and then the last but not the least is body contact. Now, what are diseases? Disease are infirmities which alters the normal functions of an organism. So it simply means that whenever there's a disease in your body, then it means that the normal body functioning in your system has now changed from its form into a different way altogether. What you have to also take into notice is that whenever there is any microorganism being introduced into your system, the whole body system is not actually living with that. So the body sees that microorganism or that antigen as a foreign material. So there's going to be a bit of mishap or a bit of changes in the body, because the whole white blood cells will be able or try everything within their possible means to get that antigen, which is the microorganism from the body. Actually, we spoke about blood, and then I told you that one aspect of the blood is what is called the white blood cells. And the main function of the white blood cells is to serve as antibodies. And now antibodies are also cells within the body that are able to stand or fight against any disease-causing organism. So when there's any foreign material into the body which is in the form of an antigen, then the white blood cell, which is an antibody, is supposed to fight the antigen and then get it out of the system. But unfortunately, if it happens that the antigen rather overrules the antibodies, then unfortunately, you would have a bit of mishap. And the mishap here is you are going to be affected with the kind of disease or microorganism that is being introduced into your system. Now, diseases that affect humans can be classified under the following. There are so many of them, but these are the general headings under which they can be classified. We have one which is called infectious or communicable disease. Infectious or communicable disease. Now, these are diseases that can be transmitted or contracted from one person to another. Okay, so let's say I have it. I come very close to you, okay, through the air that we all breathe, through exchange or body contact of any kind, and then that disease can be transferred from me to you because it is infectious. So it can be moved from one person to another. And one typical example of this kind of disease is the current, what we have currently as COVID-19 or coronavirus, because in as much as somebody may have the disease, if you communicate with a person in a very close distance, then definitely the person has the capability or ability of transporting the virus from him to you. We also have food and waterborne disease. These are diseases that are actually obtained from both food and water. Whenever there's any contamination of food and then water, and then you now ingest the food or the water then appropriately, or what will happen is that these microorganisms in there will now be introduced into your system, resulting in the spread of that disease. So we can have, say, dysentery, we can have cholera, we can have diphtheria, and the rest. Now, all these are food and then waterborne disease. Then we also have the airborne disease. These are diseases that can actually move from one person to another through air. Through air. So from one person to another through air. And then we have what is called H1N1, bird flu, SARS, and all that. All these are airborne disease. Not forgetting the almighty coronavirus or COVID-19. Exactly. And then we also have sexually transmitted disease, which is also referred to as venereal disease. With this, it is not really so easy for somebody to contract it. Somebody may have, let's say, AIDS. You can actually hug the person and then you wouldn't get a disease because this actually goes through sexual way or sexual means, or when you are deeply involved with somebody in kissing, whereby the person actually has a cut in the mouth, and then you have let's say I have the HIV/AIDS. Let's say I have it, and then I kiss somebody so intensely, and then the person has a cut somewhere in the mouth. Okay, there will be a bit of body fluid from me to that person, and so in the long stand or the long essence, it means that I've transmitted a bit of my body fluid to that fellow, and definitely you'll get that kind of disease. Now let's go to some of the general causes of disease. We have one which is called poor environmental sanitation. If the environment is so poor, whereby now there's death all around, then all human beings available in that locality will appropriately or most definitely be prone to that disease. So you have when choke gutters are available, leading to breeding grounds of mosquitoes. Remember that when gutters are choked, then it means that the wastewater actually do not get free passage away. So they are choked, and what happens is that mosquitoes will now breed at that area and then now move from that area to your home to actually feed on your blood. And as they feed on your blood, they inject into your body what is called Plasmodium, and that is also the malaria-causing organism in your system. Then you also have eating an unbalanced diet. When you eat an unbalanced diet, you become a bit of, you didn't get all the nutrients that you need, so you become malnourished. So this whole thing is about malnutrition, okay? So it means that all the nutrients, all the essential nutrients that are needed in the body will not be actually obtained by your body. So you become malnourished. That is when you don't actually grow well, certain parts of the body do not develop properly and all that. Then you have eating contaminated food and taking contaminated water. So when you eat food that are so cold appropriately, then it means that you may actually avail yourself to certain kinds of disease. That is why it's actually advisable that you're not supposed to eat food that are so very, very cold, because these microorganisms actually will be able to actually survive or produce so much of themselves in areas like that. Then improper disposal of refuse. Yes, you dispose refuse improperly, and then what happens is that flies all over will feed on the refuse, come back into your home, feed on the food that you're about eating, and then certain microorganisms will just go straight into your body system. Then we have poor personal hygiene. Poor personal hygiene. You don't bath, you don't clean your teeth, you don't, trim your hair and all that. You look just scruffy and that kind of thing. Yes, and then it means that as all these things are happening, so, you know, as normal human beings, as we go through the normal day system, there will be a bit of sweat and all that. And at the end of the day, you're supposed to wash down and then get all the dirt from your system. But you just go and sleep with it. You don't brush your teeth. You don't comb your hair. You don't do the things. You know what I'm talking about. As it happens that way, microorganisms here and there will be hovering around you, and then so much. Then lack of regular medical checkup. If you don't religiously visit the hospital for checkup on your blood, on your sugar, on your BMI, that is body mass index and all that, then it presupposes that there will be certain conditions in your system which you may not know, but then will actually bring about certain disease in your system. We have lack of regular exercise. You don't exercise religiously, and then you just eat junk food, so much of fat and all that in your system. You don't exercise, you are becoming bigger, and you think you are actually living good. It's not good living. It means you are dying early. So these are some of the causes of diseases. Now, what are also the other ways by which disease can be prevented? The general ones. We have eating balanced diet. That means you have all the nutrients in their right proportion. Okay, you have the carbohydrates, you have the protein, you have the fat and oil, and all that in their right proportion in the food. And that means that you are eating what is called a balanced diet. Don't go and eat KKT and then hot pepper with no fish or meat. KKT is kokunte, as a friend of mine will say it. KKT, kokunte. Don't just eat KKT and then you want pepper and you think, oh, okay, that is actually not a balanced diet. And then number 2, keeping the environment clean by clearing bushes, desilting choke gases. Yes, you clear your environment, you do it around your homes to actually control any breeding grounds of mosquitoes or houseflies or any organism of any kind that is possible of causing disease in your system. Washing hands before and after eating. Yes. Before you eat, you have to wash your hands. A friend of mine used to tell me that when you're about eating wache and then you wash your hand with soap, let's say liquid soap, you don't actually get a taste of the wache so well. But the point is that because of your own health, please wash your hands so well before eating. And after eating, please do well to also wash your hands. Do not sleep with the food on your hands for mice of all calibers to come and feed on your hands. That's also very bad. And then you do regular exercise. You exercise your body most of the time so that you burn fat, you burn sugar here and there, and then you will actually be in a normal good shape to also maintain your BMI, that is the body mass index. Then you also observe what is called personal hygiene. So whenever you feel that your hair is bushy, you trim it. When you see that these are there, then you just clear them, and then you bath appropriately, you wash your clothes, you brush your teeth and all that. Then you do what is called, you actually go for regular medical checkup where you are supposed to from time to time, go to the hospital so that they will check you up. Because the point is that no sickness will come to you and probably knock at your door so that you know that this sickness is coming to me. You wouldn't know. Before you realize it is there. So you're actually supposed to go to the hospital and then you'll be checked up to weigh you up to see where is wrong or where is good, and then you just take it from there. Then you empty the bowels regularly, whereby you have to, there's no time for constipation. You eat foods that contain roughages to actually have it every morning or every evening for you to clear your system and all that. Then avoid taking in contaminated food and water, among other things. So you don't just take any water and then you drink it, or take any food and you drink it. Always buy or prepare food in a very, very good hygienic area condition. And then you make sure, if you can, if you are solely relying on pipe-borne water, you can do this. Get the pipe-borne water, you boil it. If you can, strain it. When I say strain it, get a very nice white linen that is so clean. Pour the water through, more of filtration. Get any microorganism that may have even died while the boiling was going through, and then get all that. And then you can now chill it, and then you will be good to go. All right. Now let's delve into what causes or what brings about disease. So we have something called microorganisms. Actually, they are very, very small organisms that can never be seen with naked eye. It's not like you can just look at it just as I'm seeing a pen. You can't, because they are so minute and very small that you cannot see them as this, okay, unless you use what is called an electronic microscope. And these are what actually brings about so many diseases. Okay, so microorganisms are disease-causing organisms and are too small to be seen with the naked eye, except with the help of electronic microscope. Examples of these are the virus, the fungi, the protozoa, the bacteria, and the rest. Now, all these actually result or brings about particular kinds of disease. Okay. Now, an agent or organism which transmits microorganisms from an infected person to an uninfected person is called a vector. So, when there's any microorganism that will actually transmit, or if there's any organism actually that will transmit any microorganism from one person suffering from a disease to another person that is fit or not suffering from that same disease, is said to be a vector. So if this pen is a vector, then it means that if I have a kind of disease and this pen is able to transmit the disease from me or carry microorganisms from my body to you who is healthy, then in that sense, this pen is acting as a vector. Okay. Now let's go to the groups of microorganisms. Now there are so many of them, but then we'll just go to the basics. We have the bacterial diseases, and now these are diseases that are caused primarily by bacteria. Bacteria is two or more. Singular is called bacterium. Bacterium. Okay. So let's go to some of the examples of diseases that are caused by these microorganisms. We have tuberculosis, we have whooping cough, we have tetanus, we have diphtheria, and then among others. So tuberculosis, whooping cough, diphtheria, and tetanus are all bacteria-causing organisms. And this is how, or this is the structure of a bacteria. So on your screen, you can see a bacteria antigen displayed on the screen. The antigen is the microorganism that gets into your body to give you that kind of disease. So this is the structure, or this is how they look like, as you can see on your screens. Good. Now let's go to the viral disease. Now remember I told you that we have whooping cough, tetanus, diphtheria, and all that. All those are disease caused by bacteria. So we are going to the other one, that is the viral disease. Now, the viral disease are many, and these are caused by viruses, and they are very, very deadly. Very, very deadly. Okay, we have one, chicken pox, we have measles, we have influenza, bird flu, and then HIV is among others. So it means that there are others like Ebola, like COVID-19, and then the others. So with this, actually what happens is that before any viral disease can be treated, the virus itself must be used to produce a vaccine. That's actually what happens. So if a viral disease is to be prevented, then they need that virus to produce what is called a vaccine, so that you can take the vaccine or the shot of that to actually kill that microorganism. So it means that that same kind of organism is needed to produce a drug to cure that same organism. And this is how they look like. This is how they look like. They get into your body and then they now replicate, or they double up. So they just become so many, and then the first point of call in your system is to hit on your immune system. So they try to actually reduce the strength or bring the immune system down. And if the immune system goes down, then they are good to go. So just as we have with COVID-19, the virus gets into your system, and then they now try to bring your whole immune system down. They get into your liver, and then before you realize, you are almost dying. Then we have protozoal disease, and we have a typical example as malaria. And we believe that malaria is caused by an organism called Plasmodium. So in a nutshell, it means that the female Anopheles mosquito who is coming to feed on your blood, okay, is actually a vector, because it carries the Plasmodium, and then it now bites you, the human being, and then injects this Plasmodium into your system. And when that happens, then it means the malaria parasite has been introduced into your body, and then with time they replicate. That means they double up in your system, they weaken you up, and then your system is just going to suffer from malaria. And this is how they look like. Protozoan antigen as displayed on the screen. This is how they look like. Okay, now let's go to worm disease. The name itself actually gives a clue. Worm disease. So these are diseases that are caused primarily by worms. And we have guinea worm, we have river blindness, we have schistosomiasis, and then we have elephantiasis. Now all these are disease of worm. They are caused by worms. They are caused by worms. So we have guinea worm, we have river blindness, we have schistosomiasis, and then we have elephantiasis. And let me take you through a bit of guinea worm. This is how guinea worm works. This is how guinea worm works. The worm will actually try to go into your skin. Okay? There may be a bit of sore or a bit of opening on your skin. So what happens is that this worm will try to move into your skin. There are many cases whereby the worm actually succeeds in getting into your skin completely. So it means that the whole body gets into your skin. But in trying to get this worm out of your skin, it needs certain skills or expertise, because it's not just any worm that you can just hold from one end and then pull out. No, it doesn't happen that way. And if you are so unfortunate, whereby in trying to pull it up, probably a bit of the whole body, let's say the whole body got broken into two, and then you got a part out and another part inside. God, that means that it's trouble, because that part that is already in the skin will not just let you go. That will be very, very, and this is how it is. So you see a medical practitioner trying to pull the worm from somebody's leg. So you can see there's a sore on the leg. The worm got into it, and then the practitioner is trying very hard to pull it slowly from the body of the host. And it must come, or it must be done carefully, so that it doesn't, or any part of it doesn't get stuck into your system. Now let's go to fungi disease. Now a fungus invades the tissue and causes a disease that is confined to the skin, spreads into tissue, bones and organs, and affects the whole body. So this is how it happens. It gets into your body, okay, and then just creates an atmosphere for it just underneath your skin, and then now doubles up, gets into your bone, your tissues, and then your whole body gets actually by this whole fungus or fungi, and then problem comes. we have foot rot, we have damping off, and then we have certain common ones that are found with plants, like leaf crust and all that. All these are caused by fungi.